So one might wonder what I'm doing out on a day like today. Well, it so happens that days like today make for great photographs. Sometimes you have to look for the intimate scenes. Sometimes you can find a vast vista. In this case, I went for the intimate and an old barn. You'll see here in a few minutes. I do allude later in the video to trying to get that vast vista, but unfortunately it was not meant to be that day. Sit back, relax, and enjoy while we photograph Weston Bend State Park.
Good morning. We had a little bit of a wintry mix yesterday in northwest Missouri, Kansas City area. And I'm looking up because I'm underneath a rim ice covered tree. I just don't really want to get hit by a branch this morning. But like I was saying, we're up at Weston Bend State Park, and there's a couple of these old tobacco barns up here in the park. And this morning when I got up in Parkville, I looked out the window and it's almost 40 degrees down there, which is not even 30 minutes away. And the roads are just a little wet. They're fairly dry now. There's not much photographic opportunity down near Kansas City right now because it's too warm. So I started thinking about places that I could go photograph that were nearby and outside of the heat island effect of the metro area. So I thought about Weston Bend. I came up here, was able to get back to one of the tobacco barns. Most of the other parking areas and roads in the state park are closed because, quite frankly, they don't want to have to salt and sand back here. So I'm actually lucky that I was able to get back here. All the trees are covered with this gorgeous rim ice, like I was saying earlier, that we don't have just 30 minutes away. So is the barn itself. It's got a really good sheen to it this morning, so it's really cool photographically. So I spent some time walking around the barn trying to find the best angle and the best incidence for the light to reflect off the ice that's on it. And I think I found it back here at the back side. The only thing I don't like about this composition is the fact that the state has had to put up a no trespassing sign on the barn because apparently kids and people were going in it and causing vandalism. Here again, it's a historic feature in the Platte County, Missouri area because this part of the county was a big tobacco and hemp producer, as well as certain liqueurs. So I got my composition framed up. I actually tried another composition that you probably just saw that was lower, but it elongated the barn too much and distorted the perspective. So I actually raised my tripod up to standard height for me and tilted my 14 to 24 mil lens down a little bit to counteract the lens distortion effect. I wanted the wide angle here because I want this gorgeous tree that's all covered in rim ice to be my foreground interest in the upper part of the frame, even though it intrudes into the actual composition of the barn. I think it makes for a photographic interest point and actually adds more to the photograph to have this gorgeous rim ice on the tree. And it's actually getting better. So I'm actually going to take another shot here. So bear with me while I frame this up and do it again. This is just, it's too gorgeous to pass up. So it's a gorgeous little image. It's one that would probably do really well in the Kansas City area because it talks about the history and tells the story of our area. So before the sun gets too bright or we lose too much cloud cover and I lose all this gorgeous rim ice to work with, I'm gonna go look for some more compositions. Talk to you in a bit. Set up on composition number 2. Got away from the barn. Just couldn't resist the rim ice on some of the trees up here. So what I did is I took the 14 to 24, which has a shorter minimum focal distance for focusing, and got pretty close to one of the branches. So this composition works out pretty well. I like it. It looks like the image is going to be best at 1/250th of a second at f2.8, ISO 100, 24 mil. Like I said before, this lens has a very short minimal focusing distance, so I can get pretty close to this rim ice covered branch. And I've been able to put a pine tree kind of in the background with the sun coming in as a side light. It's just kind of cool. This whole area with the rim ice today is just awesome. I got a time lapse going up by the barn, which I'm now probably quarter of a mile to half a mile away from. But I don't think there's anybody else here but the Park Service people who are trying to get the lots plowed and cleared up. I may go back, check on that, or I may continue down this trail. I might actually go get that first because I'm kind of freaking out about being that far away from a time lapse. And it's been going pretty long, and quite frankly, there's not a lot of separation in the clouds, so I don't know how that's going to turn out. If it does, you'll see it. Wow, what a gorgeous morning. And it's starting to actually warm up. I'm actually getting kind of warm. So it was about 30 degrees when I pulled into the lot up here, and it's either I'm getting used to it or it's actually getting up above 35. Gorgeous, gorgeous morning. And this time of year I've got probably until 1 o'clock that I could be out photographing, especially with this cloud layer that keeps moving through the area. So we may just explore for a little longer, or until my tummy gets a rumbling and we head on home. Because my tummy always leads me home. Like I said, this place is just gorgeous and popped full of composition possibilities. I stopped here along the trail that I was hiking on away from the tobacco barn, and I've got 3 different photos, maybe 4 different photos right here with all this rim ice that we've got. They must have had a lot more freezing rain up here than we did at home. Plus the temperature, like I said, was considerably colder actually, until not too long ago. You can just barely see my breath, so it's starting to warm up. So we're going to start losing this ice probably, especially if the cloud deck does clear. This will just melt, and we'll have a 40-degree day. Kind of cool. But I see 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 compositions, all within a span of 6 feet, that I'm going to photograph. And yeah, wow. Glad I motivated myself to get out this morning. I haven't been feeling good, and it's really tough this time of year when I'm not feeling good and there's just no cool light, no epicness. But yeah, I'm gonna get these 4. Yeah, now, especially seeing as the sun's popping through and lighting this area up, I'm gonna work this little 6-foot area and make some photographs. Awesome morning. So I'm still in that 6-foot area where I saw multiple compositions. The first two I used my 14 to 24 f2.8 on because I wanted to be able to blur out that background and make it feel more like a macro out of focus. And those are 2 red berry shots that I took that I liked them. They're simple compositions. There's not too much clutter in them. I'll pop them here on the screen here in a sec, and I'll show you the settings there. And for the third one that I took here, because after looking, I'm like, it's starting to melt. I really want to get the ones that I definitely wanted to get here and then try to move on, because there might be something that I'm just not seeing yet. And the conditions are going to change very quickly because we're getting drips, we're getting melts. You can hear the wildlife starting to move around too, so it's definitely getting warmer. So for the next one, I got these blue juniper berries on a juniper that's kind of in shadow right now. So I had to pull out the 70 to 300 variable aperture lens to actually get close enough, because I don't want to get in here and damage anything while it's frozen for sure. But it's a cluster of juniper berries with some frozen droplets above them, and I zoomed into about 135 mil on this, and I'll pop that up now for you. But it's been a gorgeous morning so far, and it's not too bad out. And the roads weren't bad getting up here, and I'm hoping that I can find a couple more compositions and I can get headed back south towards the cities and pull off, and hopefully some of the bluffs here in the river valley will still have some of this rim ice on them. With a little bit of sunlight, they're just gonna pop. It'll look like a crystal forest from a distance. So I'm hoping I can get that shot, but no guarantees. It's all about the journey anyway. So I'm gonna pack this back in, and we're gonna head down this trail just a little bit farther and see what else we can find. So, trail got icier and steep. Even with everything starting to melt, I just decided it wasn't worth risking breaking something or a part of me causing more pain. And I'm gonna head back to the truck, head back south towards Parkville, and hopefully the rest of the bluffs overlooking the Missouri River are still as ice covered as these trees are, because with the light we're starting to get, I might get that crystal forest look on the bluff, which that'd be really cool. And there's a couple spots I know I can pull off in between here and there, pull out the long lens, and maybe fire off a couple compositions. So that's a wrap from Weston Bend State Park. I got a few photos in the bag, and whoa, it's actually getting slicker. So probably best to call it a day, get back in the truck, be safe, not sorry. If I don't get those cool photographs, thanks for watching. And if you've ever gotten out and done hoarfrost or rim ice, or photographed in gorgeous inclement weather after the fact, of course, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys are up to. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.